papers, class notes, tests, in the boxes he'd brought back from Syracuse. But Colleen hadn't had the heart to open any of them, and they too were stacked in the closet. Nowadays, Paul texted, that was all. And in Colleen's hand was a printout of all the texts from him. God bless Vicky. She'd figured out how to print them in neat columns so they fit on 2 double-sided pages, and had emailed Colleen the file, too, just in case. Colleen had read them 100 times. They went back 4 months to last September. All the communications from her son since he left, and they fit on 2 pages. One more indictment of her parenting, of what she'd done wrong, or too much, or not enough. September 27th, 2010, 2:05 p.m. Got it, thanks. That was the oldest one. Colleen couldn't remember what Paul had been thanking her for. Probably one of her care packages. She sent them all through last autumn. Boxes packed with homemade brownies and sky bars and paperback books she knew he'd never read. But when Paul came home for Thanksgiving, well, the week after Thanksgiving, but she and Andy's brother Rob and Rob's girlfriend had delayed the whole turkey and pie production until Paul could be there. Andy had even taped the games and waited to watch them with him. He made it clear that the packages embarrassed him. Next was a series of texts from her. October 28th, 2010, 9:16 a.m. Hi, sweetie. Dad has enough frequent flyer miles for you to come home when you're off. October 29th, 2010, 7:44 a.m. When are you off again? October 30th, 2010, 11:50 p.m. Wish you were here for Halloween. The Flanagans had the pumpkin lights in the trees. Like he was 11, for God's sake, and off at sleepaway camp. Instead of 20, a man. A small sob escaped Colleen's throat, an expulsion of the panic that she'd mostly got under control. She covered the sound with a cough. In her carry-on was half a bottle of Paxil, which Dr. Garrity had given her over a year ago, before they settled on a regime of red clover extract and the occasional Ambien to treat what was, he assured her, a perfectly normal transition into menopause. She hadn't liked the Paxil. It made her feel dizzy and sometimes sweaty, but she'd packed the bottle yesterday along with her own sleeping pills, and Andy's too. She hadn't told him, and she felt a little guilty about that, but he'd be able to get a refill tomorrow. She'd leave a message with the doctor's answering service when they landed, and then all he'd have to do was pick it up. Colleen refolded the papers and rested her forehead against the airplane window, looking out into the night. The plane had begun its descent. The flight attendant had made her announcement. They'd be on the ground a few minutes before 10. The temperature was 1 degree, winds at something. 1 degree was cold. But Boston got cold too, and it didn't bother Colleen the way it did some people. Far below, rural North Dakota was lit up by the moon, a vast rolling plain of silvery snow, interrupted here and there by rocky swaths where the land rose up in ridges. Colleen tried to remember if she'd ever been to either Dakota. She couldn't even remember the names of the capitals. Pierre? Was that one of them? A flare of orange caught her eye, a rippling brightness surrounded by a yawning black hole in the snow. And there, half a dozen of them dotting the bleak landscape, blazes so bright they looked unnatural, the day glow of a traffic cone. Colleen's first thought was forest fire, but there were no trees, and then she thought of the burning piles of trash she saw sometimes in Mattapan or Dorchester. But people didn't burn trash at night, and besides, there were no houses, no town, just... And then she saw it. The tall bird's spire like an old-time radio tower, and she knew, even as they flew past, that she had seen her first rig. The plane was still too far up for her to make out any details, except that it looked so small, so flimsy, almost like a child's toy.